What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy, Dead on Dave. We got a hell of a show for you today. It's Wednesday. It's your Wednesday rant for March 18th, 2015. We got a huge show. So big, in fact, that I'm breaking it into two parts. This is part one, and we'll be talking baseball's latest epidemic, a possible growing trend in the NFL, and yet more drug use in MMA. Yet first, we start with hockey, and whenever I have a question about the greatest sport on ice, I only go to one man. Because remember, kids, if you're not talented, have talented friends. So with that, let's go ahead and bring in my puck man, owner and operator of the most badass hockey channel in all of YouTube, the great Tommy C. What's going on?
You stumbled. Buddy? You were going to say podcast, and then you decided to go with.
I went with channel. Yeah.
Channel. You should sometimes just spit it.
Just go
with it. Well, thank you very much for having me on, Dave. I don't get to be on your channel nearly as much, but I am recovering from a terrible hangover from St. Patrick's Day last night. As you can see, I woke up and there was chips on my fucking couch, and as soon as my wife sees this shit, she's going to have a heart attack.
Yeah, happy Irish drunk day. Jesus.
I guess I ran around. And, the funny thing was, I actually, we had this rant. I mentioned this thing yesterday on In the Crease, which you weren't able to be on. You're sick, but you're not sick now. And how Europeans just don't give a fuck what your background is. No. So I was rocking the Notre Dame jersey yesterday. I got my my cool Irish surname, and there was a bunch of Irishmen behind me, guys I know, right? And they were all getting together and shooting shit and what have you, not including me in the conversation. And I heard them while I was smoking. They sat there and they said, it's like, look at all the Americans, these sort of wannabes that are drinking. I'm paraphrasing. These wannabes that are just making up by drinking Guinness. And I had my feelings hurt and I left. So just to let all you dopes know, when you come to Europe, hey, I'm Irish. No, you're not. They'll let you know, unless they want something. Then all of a sudden you're European if you happen to have a Caucasian colored skin.
That's right.
So just to let you know, that was my St. Patrick's Day. But,
that sounds like a very depressing St. Patrick's Day.
It kind of was.
There was whiskey everywhere. Thank God.
It kind of was until I ran into a redheaded guy from Minnesota who didn't play hockey, which pissed me off. I was like, "Oh, you're from Minnesota? You must be." Oh no, I like football, basketball. I was like, get the fuck out of here.
Oh God, Tommy C. stereotyping with the best of them.
Yes, I want people from Boston and Michigan and Minnesota to be hockey people, and I don't want to hear from anybody else. That's the truth. I don't. I don't even like any other sports, with the possibility a little bit of baseball. But, I don't even like sports all that much. I just like hockey because it's a friggin' comedy producer like no other.
That's very true. It is.
All right. What do you got? What do you got for me, buddy?
So this is it. Jonathan Toews and the Chicago Blackhawks absolutely beat the holy hell out of friggin' the Islanders last night. Good. Let's go, Rangers. And the Islanders have been one of the best teams consistently all year. However, they've been slumping as of late.
A little bit.
The Hawks, since losing Patrick Kane, has seemed to have really found an offensive spark that they kind of haven't had all season. They've had problems burying the puck most of the year consistently, aside from Patrick Kane. But aside from Kane's gone, now the Hawks are tearing it up offensively.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, it's twofold. One, why? And two, are the Hawks a serious threat without Patrick Kane, with the team as it is, to win the Stanley Cup?
Well, I don't think. First of all, when you lose a player of Patrick Kane's stature, it's never a good thing. There's no good way to spin it. Patrick Kane was, he was running. He was in the running for being the top point guy in the league. He was definitely the top point guy on Chicago. So there's no possible way to spin it that Patrick Kane being out of your lineup is a good thing. But what tends to happen, and you have seen this with the New York Rangers with Cam Talbot, is you get that that stupid sports mantra. All right, everybody's got to step up. Patty's not here. We got to step up. And what happens is it works.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to say the Blackhawks are a lazy hockey team, but they may have been cutting corners because of Patrick Kane's scoring prowess. And the message got home from the coach, or maybe even just some self-inspection. Look, the team, it's not the Chicago's Patrick Kane's, it's the Chicago Blackhawks, and we're the Blackhawks, and it's just that simple. You've seen it with the New York Rangers. They lose a top flight goaltender like Henrik Lundqvist, and let's face it, it was their lack of faith in Cam Talbot that got them to not only tighten up on defense, but since Lundqvist is gone, they're firing shots left and right and put it bearing in the back of the net. So if I had to make the comparison, that Patty's such a big part of this team, and it was sort of a wake up call for the Blackhawks, and it is quite frightening. Now I don't know long run if that's going to have a huge impact. I have stated that the Blackhawks have. I don't think they lose as big as an edge as you might think by losing Patrick Kane. Hockey's not basketball.
No, it's not.
So, I mean, you do need, it's those two lines. And if those two lines can produce, I'm not going to go as far to say that they don't need Patrick Kane.
Of course not. That would be insane.
It's just a tribute to the depth of the Chicago Blackhawks and why they're always a threat. And if you get Patrick Kane in a Western Conference final, which he's projected to be in, which he could come back in the second round, you never know. It's just that much. It just makes it that much scarier of a hockey team. Now, the thing with the Blackhawks is we have they haven't been they're still one of the more dominant teams. They're definitely an elite team. I want to knock them up, but they haven't been the super monster that we've seen over the last 3 years.
They seem complacent in most of the season. A little bit. They're just inconsistent in getting the puck in the back of the net, taking more shots than anyone, but it's been weird.
But yeah, I'm not going to sit there and pretend or come up with it because I'm not in the locker room, and neither is any other reporter, but as it appears, and with my humble experience of watching a lot of television over the past 38 years, I think that's your situation. It was kind of like, you know what? We could be working harder. We could be getting into those battles. We could be digging out. We could be more creative. We could be, and they decided we are. And I think that is a very, very long Dave Rose type answer to your question. It's funny. It's funny when I'm on your channel, I try to be the ultimate professional. If like my own channel, I'm like, fuck it. Oh God, I'm in trouble.
One more quick Blackhawks question for you.
Sure.
Are you surprised at the demotion and the just complete lack of effort or ability of Chris Versteeg since he's come back from injury? Has this been a surprise to you? He's been demoted from all four lines. We're talking about a guy who is important for both championship runs that the Hawks have made.
All right. The only thing I can do is speculate in a situation like this because it's the honest answer would be I don't know, and then you're not going to get that from most people. Did they rush him back early? Yeah. Has he had some kind of falling out? Was he involved in that brawl? The situation in the locker room that was supposedly over a girl. We don't know. We don't know exactly what happened.
Patrick Sharp fucked everyone in the locker room talk.
Yeah. Apparently. So was that a problem? Is he having a falling out with the teammates? Did he come back too early? Is he still hurt? Did he lie to the doctors about his injury? Look, hockey is, especially professional hockey, is the most competitive. If you lose even just a half a step, you're always a half a step, doesn't matter how good you are, from your career being over. So I don't want to get into being demoted from a line is a little bizarre. See, that seems like a coaching decision because I have seen things like take a goal scorer like Marian Gaborik or Martin St. Louis, and these guys are snipers, and you sort of expect them to kind of have up and down periods because there is a lot of luck in hockey. Sure. So but to demote them from a line, if I had to guess, this has to do with possibly injury rushing, hurt more than they think, not getting along with coaching staff and players, and that's really all that I can come up with until that is probably something more than likely will be revealed with a trade over the summer. Would
not be surprising. He hasn't really had time to gel with some of the new additions that the Hawks made earlier in the season, and now they made even more additions with Vermette, who's been doing everything aside from scoring. He hasn't really scored much, but God, this guy just does a little bit of everything without the puck in his hands. He's an impressive guy. I like him a lot.
No, it was definitely a great pickup. A pickup I think
he's a facilitator.
Yes, and you need those type of role players. You need those type of role players to fill those spots going into the long haul of the Stanley Cup tournament, which is a completely different season, as we all know. Now, I also think. It could be something, just to throw this in about Versteeg, maybe being the fact that he was away so long that other players came and filled his role. Yeah. And that's just unfortunate. And that's why these guys don't want to get hurt. That's why they lie to their doctors, because they know there's going to be a guy that comes in and takes their spot.
Always someone
and maybe
looking.
That could be it. So I don't know. Maybe it's just a slump, or maybe it's somebody replaced him. Quite. I mean, look, they're scoring a lot. They're scoring a lot. They beat the hell out of the New York Islanders last night. It's not a
very
good
hockey team.
You have a very big game with the New York Rangers coming up because this is going to.
And that's part of the reason why I wanted you here, because tonight, motherfucker, we get revenge.
Yes,
for that 1-0 amazing game we had just a week ago. It's tonight, but this time you're coming to me. It's in the United Center.
Yes, you're going to Chicago, which is a much tougher building to win in, especially in recent years. This is a real. I mean, look, if anybody loses this game, it's not going to change the outcome of their season. I don't want to kind of overstate the importance of the game, but I don't want to understate it either, because when you have two original six elite teams, and I know there's no such thing as the original six, but it does mean something to the players and the fans, and. If the Rangers go in, I mean, if the Rangers get blown out or the Rangers do the blowing out, that is a statement. It's a statement to the rest of the Eastern Conference. It's a statement to the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Boston Bruins and the Caps and the Bolts and the Habs. Wow, you take these guys that are probably the elite of the most elite of the league and blow them out or beat them. It does say something. Same thing goes, but a little different for the Blackhawks. The Blackhawks have to sit there and say they got to take down the Rangers because we are still the Chicago Blackhawks even out without Patrick Kane. Yeah. So it's a statement game going forward. It's a psychological thing. So yes, this game's going to be very hard. Harry, I don't expect a lot of penalties or anything like that.
But
I expect, I expect a clean game. The Rangers aren't very chippy. Actually, the Blackhawks actually have a little more in that area, which I like.
We got from you.
Well, yeah, and you got Andrew Shaw over there running around headbutting people. I'm sure he's going to be taking a little bit of a break. Maybe that'll give Versteeg a chance. I don't know to get back in it. But no, I think that's what this is a statement game going forward late in the season. We can beat the Blackhawks. We can fend off the Rangers. We're still the strongest team in the NHL. Look out come April.
I think it's a much more important game for the Hawks than it is the Rangers, because the Rangers, let's face it, right now, they are the best team in hockey. Mm-hmm. Hands down. I don't even think there's a close second, to be honest.
But right now, sure. I mean, I think we have some dips. Right now we have, and I think I definitely want to throw Nashville. I mean, I know they're on a little bit of a slide, maybe just a permanent slide
right now.
Yeah, they're up and down. They've been dominant most of the season, though, so you got to give them credit. But slowly but surely, the Rangers have done what they've basically done the last 2 years. Is they maybe had rough starts and kind of built. They're definitely an elite team, and I don't want to understate. This is important for Ranger fans. Yeah. To beat the Blackhawks. It's a big deal when you beat the Blackhawks or the Bruins or the especially the Detroit Red Wings. And we only get to see you guys twice a year. So, this is a big game, and it could be potentially extremely entertaining. Yeah.
I think it is a potential Stanley Cup Finals, preview.
I don't particularly like that matchup.
I think it would be great. I'd love it. I'd love to see it. Just from an entertainment standpoint.
I 100% agree with you. But see, I'm one of these guys. I don't care how I win. I just want to win. I don't care if I'm going up against damn San Jose Sharks or a weak team if they happen to sneak. I want to win. I don't care if it's 4 straight. Win. And yes, it is more fun to have entertaining games, but I get real freaking nervous and shit. I just win and go away. First round sweep. Next. That's what I want. That's the way I look at it. I don't want a storybook all the time, but I'm a Ranger fan, so I usually get it. Whether I want it or not.
Yeah, very true. I appreciate all the knowledge on the hockey. I'm going to keep you around for a few minutes because I got another story that I think you're going to really want to sink your teeth into, because this is just Tommy C all over it.
Yes.
We're going to switch to the National Football League, because as we know, hockey just kills ratings for people. My God. I mean, who would be crazy enough to do a hockey channel? I don't know.
I have no idea. I don't know. I'm much better off going with wrestling. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. But we're going to switch to the National Football League, where there's a big story and a possible trend emerging that has to be scaring the ever-loving shit out of Roger Goodell right now. A now former San Francisco 49er offensive lineman, I believe, Chris Borland, 24 years old, rookie last year, decent player, coming into his prime, gets a rather serious concussion last year and decides to step away from the game. This headline is making a lot of waves throughout the National Football League. Now, I talked to you offline about this, and I was rather complimentary of this decision because I was looking at it strictly from a personal responsibility standpoint. Mm-hmm. This is the quotes that he gave. basically, when asked about it, he goes, I mean, it could potentially kill you. I know that's a drastic way to put it, but it's a possibility. The reality puts it into perspective for me, and it just wasn't something I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. I can relate from the outside looking in that it would make a lot of sense to people. I've got close friends who have said, well, why don't you just play one more year? It's a lot of money. You probably won't get hurt. I just don't want to get in a situation where I'm negotiating my health for money. Who knows how many hits is too many? Now, this was really important to me. I like that last thing that he said, because we have a whole bunch of, right now, on the outside, we got 45, 50-year-old players who got beat the fuck out of in football, did not take personal responsibility, kept playing no matter what, and now they want to get paid. Roger Goodell probably mistakenly decided to go ahead and pay these guys instead of taking it to court. And now we're in this situation where everyone's overreacting to, concussions. And not overreacting. That might be a bad statement.
But I think it's a legitimate statement. I mean, I think we are overreacting to concussions because nobody really understood concussions like they do now. Yeah. Nothing's really changed. We know the risks. Sure. The risks were there before. The risks were there 100 years ago. Yeah. We got to, and yes, and that may have led into this gentleman's decision. What was his name again?
Chris Boland.
Chris Boland. All right, and then look, I would never criticize his decision if he wants to step away from the game, and I like the language that he used as far as, like, I don't want to negotiate my health for money, and that's fair enough. But here's the thing, Chris, that's what everybody's doing.
Yes.
Absolutely everybody's doing. So he decided to opt out, and I would never criticize him for that. Absolutely.
I know you're worried about the ramifications and how this is going to be used for agenda. So let's talk about that, because I think that's a really important storyline to get into.
Well, I think what happened was you were shocked by my reaction
at first, because you went from a completely different angle, which should not surprise me because you are Tommy C. And you do sometimes will look at things from a more pragmatic way than I will sometimes. And it was perfect. You're 100% right. But please go ahead.
No, I'm not going to sit there and say I was not impressed by this decision. I don't think as far as it's being a personal decision, and for him, there's no criticism there. That's exactly that's his. He came to the decision for what's best for him. My concern is what will eventually, I think, be used as an example to say, look what a hero this guy is. Now, I don't know for a fact that's going to happen, but I'm afraid in a world that we live in where the president says he'd have to think twice about his imaginary son, who my very real daughter could kick his ass, his little weak son. I worry about the political ramifications.
With guys like Chris Nowitzki
whether Boland decided to do this for political reasons or not, which I don't think so. I think this was it sounds very sincere to me. Yeah. So I don't want to sit there and clap for him. I don't care. And you know what? All right, fine, get out. Somebody's going to take your place.
Absolutely. Hundreds of people are waiting. Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's quite simply it. We are risking our future comfort and maybe our lives. I mean, who knew getting into an NFL football game could get you killed or paralyzed? Well, guess what? Before the great work that they do over there in Boston about concussions, and Chris Nowitzki with his sociology degree, not an MD, telling everybody that this stuff is really dangerous.
Don't take headers in soccer, kids.
Yes, don't take headers in soccer. That's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about this. Look at him. He stepped down from the game. What a fucking hero. No, I don't think it's heroic. I think it was a personal decision for him. And my fear is, which is what I think the concussions movement led by Nowitzki is about. It's about taking contact sports out of American culture, and I don't like that. Yeah. That's what I believe. It is a little tinfoil hat happening. I get that.
Not. You know what? It's not at all. It's not. There's no conspiracy about it at all. I think that it's completely logical, makes a lot of sense, because this is perfect canon and media fodder that they're looking for, especially these goddamn agenda-driven friggin' elitists that think that they know better than the rest of the world. And let's face it, this is what this Chris Nowitzki kid is. He's a Harvard-educated blowhard who had his dream taken away from him and doesn't want anyone else enjoying their fucking lives.
It must have been really just devastating to Chris, and I can't imagine. But I get the feeling his self-entitlement sort of took over. There are so many athletes that had to end it early, and for concussions, and for for leg injuries. And how many guys have you known that had shots at the pros, even just growing up? I'm sure people in this audience have met people, their leg blew out in high school.
Yeah.
They were all state or whatever, getting looked at by Syracuse University. I mean, this stuff happens, and it's unfortunate, and it is tragic. There is no doubt about
Absolutely.
it. But I always get the impression that Vinsky was so hurt that he wanted to make sure everybody doesn't get this chance, because he doesn't probably want people to hurt like him, or he doesn't want people to succeed.
Or he wants the world to feel his pain.
Well, yeah, or he doesn't want people to succeed where his body failed. And I think that's it. I mean, look, there's nothing wrong with the work that they're doing in Boston. Nothing wrong with it. And we need to find out about these things so we can make decisions about our future like this gentleman did. And he made a decision about his future that I respect for him, but I don't necessarily want to friggin' stand up and clap for him.
No, I agree.
You have to be brave to play NFL football, hockey, even baseball. I mean, what's to stop you getting hit by a pitch? I mean, it's happened.
Carlos Stanton last year had his whole friggin' face blown up, and people were worried about the future of this 24-year-old kid. Guess what he's doing this year? He's wearing a fucking full batter's helmet. I mean, this helmet is ridiculous. It's full-on armor to play the game.
Yeah,
that's
it's good.
Personal accountability. We need more of that.
That's who I want to praise. I don't want to praise somebody. I want to praise quitters, and I don't want to call him a quitter in the traditional sense, like I quit or I'm afraid. I'm not saying that, but eventually you can't get around the fact that this gentleman quit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I actually want to praise that. It doesn't. It's not impressive to me. It's not going to save the NFL from lawsuits down the road.
No.
And my also word is the politicizing of this particular event, which I do expect. Yeah. I don't think Barack Obama says stuff like my son. I have to think twice about my son, even though he's a big football head, by accident. I think that is agenda driven. I don't think any of these politicians ever get up and just say something because something's on their mind. I don't buy that. Everything's about an agenda.
Everything's calculated.
And I think they see people that enter a college sports or contact sports as leadership, and people that don't generally have their hand out, and people that believe in traditional leadership, military style leadership, things that I believe in, and I think that works, and I think it's healthy and helpful. Sure. But those types of people don't have their hands out generally.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's seen as a threat. I really do. If you can take, in the situation in Pennsylvania, headers out of the game of European football, soccer as it's otherwise known, that's agenda driven, because I was not aware that there was a concussion problem in either professional soccer or anything else. To take headers out of a game where it's so important, an art form, it's not about protecting the head. No. It's about a statement. And Chris Wazinski or Dirk Nowitzki or whatever the fuck.
Chris
Nowitzki, whatever his name is, was there to clap for it. That's political.
Absolutely.
That's political. And that's not typical.
The question becomes, where's the line? And that's the scariest question of them all. Now, the one guy who's got to be really worried about this has got to be fucking Roger Goodell, the worst commissioner in history of any fucking sport in the world. Because unlike some of the other things that he has tried to go out against, this could be a problem for the NFL in the next 15, 20, 25 to 30 years. Because if more kids decide to make decisions like this kid is, guess what? There's your workforce. If more kids with natural athletic ability decide to start going to baseball more often, or, God forbid, hockey more often, your sport is going to wither and die. And guess what? The decisions that fucks like Goodell made a couple years ago with these settlements is the fucking reason that it's happening.
You should have fought it.
Good job, Roger Goodell. You probably killed the sport.
Well, yeah, and I wonder if concussion. I wonder if I would not be shocked in 10 years. Like, well, maybe we're putting a little too much into the concussions. They're not as damaging as you think. I mean, science changed. Different doctors come in and they look at things differently, and stuff change. It's not necessarily scientific law. There could be ways to avoid these concussions in the future. We don't know what the future
better
will
helmet,
tell.
whatever.
But I do think this is about ending contact sports.
I agree.
I mean, if you look at which they always like to point to fighting and hockey. Well, fighting and hockey is not as damaging as some of the devastating. You can't get you more than likely can't get a concussion from a punch like you can from a head down, hit with your head down.
Definitely not as severe.
That can really mess you up. And that being said, I don't want to underscore the importance is, we do. Concussions are a weird thing and they can fuck you up, man. There's no doubt about it.
I know you've had some. I've had some in the military. I mean, fuck, man.
I got them in a bar in a pool table, and I went over to pick up one of those basketballs where you put the coins in and you shoot them at the thing. And I went to pick my head up and I got a concussion. I passed out. Look, I mean, and I think that's what it's about. So should I not go to the bar anymore? Should I not play the sport anymore? Should I don't want to live my life that way. It's almost become a political correctness thing. When you speak about concussions, we're supposed to be so sensitive and so concussions. No, concussions are part of the game. It is what it is. Absolutely. And if you don't like it, you can do what this gentleman did. Get the fuck out.
Absolutely. You know, I think you put it in perspective absolutely perfectly. I know you got to go. I know you got a bunch of stuff you need to get taken care of so you don't get beaten up by your wife, which is concussions. Scary.
Yeah. I don't know. That's the worst kind of concussion. The one that comes from a woman's mouth.
Absolutely. But while I got you, I'm going to get you here out on this. Get you out of here on this, I should say. We hit 500 subs yesterday.
Congratulations.
And I want to make sure that everybody knows this more than anything else. This man in the bubble next to me is the reason why I'm back on fucking YouTube and all of that, because the convincing that he did to get me back to going full board, not just staying on fucking Podbean and shit.
Yeah.
And the fact that we were able to work together the way that we do. I cannot underscore it enough how important this dude is to my professional and personal life. He's my best friend in the world right now, and I love this man. So thank you, Tommy C, for everything you do for me on a daily basis, both professionally and personally. These subs are just as much yours as they are mine. So thank you very much, my friend.
Well, I feel the same way, and I know Cronin's made similar comments about me and you. And of course, we have to throw in Chris Tozovich in there, who helped build this. I mean, there's no doubt. Oh yeah, he did die, and thank God he sacrificed himself. Too many concussions, I guess.
Too many concussions.
And to a lesser extent, Jaron too, who started the Joe Cronin thing, which leaked into the Shop at the Point, which leaked onto Dead on Dave Productions, and it's a team effort. And no one person is responsible, but I am happy that we do have a special relationship to push this. And congratulations on 500 subs.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. Tommy C, ladies and gentlemen. So that was Tommy C. That was Tommy C, boys and girls. He's always great to have on the show. But right now we're going to go ahead and we're going to smoothly transition to another topic that I'm pretty passionate about. And, of course, that is the world of Major League Baseball. Baseball has a problem on its hand right now, kids. Big problem. It's called Tommy John surgery. This is a serious issue. It's an epidemic. Maybe not an epidemic, but it's getting there. Look, man, 2014 had more pitchers going down and having Tommy John surgery than were done in the entire decade of the 1990s. And 2015 is looking like it could be even worse. Just how big of a problem is this? Well, some of it's due to the technology that's been able to detect these issues in the elbow, which is what Tommy John surgery corrects. There's a tear in your ligaments in your elbow, and you get a ligament from your leg or something, or your ass or somewhere, I don't know. Or they get a donor ligament to replace it. Still, Tommy John surgery gives baseball players 80% chance to come back and be just as strong of a pitcher as they were before the injury. So Tommy John surgery is immensely important, and more players are getting it done at a young age. Now the question has to become, well, why is this happening? Why is it happening with so much more regularity? Why are guys blowing their arms out so much more frequently than ever before? Well, there's trends that you can look at as to why. One, we're having more 97-mile-an-hour pitcher and up ability than probably ever before in the history of the game. I mean, every team has relievers, 2 or 3 guys who can throw the ball 98 miles an hour or more. You know, we got more guys touching 100 than ever before in baseball. This is crazy. Now, there's a lot of reasonings for that. One is there's more of an emphasis on the game and specialty positions such as pitching at younger ages than ever before. Meaning we got kids who from the age of 7, as soon as they're being targeted, that have that top level pitching ability, all they're doing every day is throwing baseballs in a pitching motion, and sometimes not with the best mechanics. So what you have is a lot of wear and tear on these kids' arms by the time they're 20 years old. And that didn't happen in the past because in the 40s and 50s and even earlier, and probably up into the 60s and 70s probably as well, kids were coming through the lower levels of baseball starting in Little League, and they weren't just pitching. They were playing all kinds of positions. There was no such thing as a specialty position. Hell, there really wasn't even anything as a closer until frickin' La Russa invented it. You know, I mean, really. And now there's this closer thing that's going on, and you're getting guys who can throw 102 miles an hour. I'm looking at you, Arnoldus Chapman, as your closer. And this is becoming a more frequent thing. Guys are throwing their arms off. Not out, off. Arms are coming off and being thrown at batters because they're throwing so goddamn fast. And they're doing it at younger ages. It's happening like it's never happened before. So the question becomes, how do we prevent it? Unfortunately, we can't. Not unless we go into the early stages of baseball and change the practices in which we are instilling into younger kids. Having them not maybe be pitchers all the time. That might be a good way of reducing the risk. But the reality is, with the want and demand for more high power arms in baseball, this is not going to go away. So Tommy John surgery is really the best course of action. Some people are advocating Tommy John surgery for not even elective. I mean, just as an elective surgery, not even waiting for it to happen naturally. But some people are thinking, if you have this ligament replacement surgery at the age of 18, if you've been throwing the ball for 10 years, this could extend your life. And because a lot of pitchers who are being drafted aren't necessarily going to college anymore anyway, getting drafted out of high school, if you're that type of power arm pitcher, maybe even a year into college, getting drafted by a Major League Baseball team and going through their physical therapy departments and everything like that, having the surgery and being with an organization is a way to extend the life of a pitcher's arm. Now you have it. Now, like, this could lead to, 75, 80% of all pitchers having Tommy John surgery in the future, but yet their arms are going to be way more healthy, and we're going to have a better product on the field. If we can get that 80% success rate to I think a way more GM and player friendly and easing 93, 94%, I think something like this would happen with a lot more frequency. And it's quite interesting to look at. So tell me what you guys think about that down in the comment section below. Something I just wanted to bring out. Another baseball story I want to talk about, because it's a Chicago Cubs story, and I love talking about my Cubs. Kris Bryant, the mega prospect. This kid could be the face of baseball in the next 5 years. He is that good. 43 home runs in the minor leagues last season. This guy is just absolutely murdering at every level he goes to. And it's been no different in spring training. He is absolutely killing major league level competition. He leads the Cactus League in friggin' home runs. He leads all of spring training in home runs. But the problem is, the Cubs are probably not going to have him starting at third base or on their team once the season opens. Now, why would they be doing that, do you ask? Well, a little thing called service time. Now, what does that mean? You see, by not having Kris Bryant come up to a certain date in April, which ends up being 9 games, 9 professional games, if they sit him out the first 9 games, they are going to add an extra year of service time to his deal, meaning he won't become a free agent for another season. Now, why is that important? Well, because the way that baseball's free agency and arbitration rules go, which is a complete friggin' mess, you basically need an accounting degree to be able to understand all of it properly. You need to have control over your players for as long as humanly possible. And with a mega prospect like Kris Bryant, who can be a $250 million player in 5 or 6 years, keeping him an extra season is very important. You want that control. Now, the question is 9 games a good move? Sitting him out the first 9 games to keep him in a Cubs uniform under Cubs control for another season, is that a smart maneuver? In my book, I think it's a good trade-off. The Cubs are if 9 games is what is the deciding factor between missing and making the playoffs, which it could be, don't get me wrong, then the Cubs weren't ready anyway. I think the Cubs really have a chance to make some noise this year, make the playoffs. I firmly believe it. But I also think it's not going to hinder on Chris Bryant playing those first 9 games and keeping control. And here's the important thing. Chris Bryant has a blood-sucking agent by the name of Scott Boras. The most blood-sucking and difficult agents in all of sports. He is a nightmare to deal with. He's throwing the Cubs under the bus for this, of course. But he's saying, the Cubs don't even want to win if they're going to sacrifice 9 games to gain control over a player for another season. That's asinine. It makes total sense for the Cubs to want to do this because they want to keep control because they don't want to deal with your ass, Scott Boras. Now, this brings up a whole nother series of problems between agents and ownership and all that stuff, but we're not going to get into that right now because there's really no need. So, Chris Bryant is probably going to miss the first 9 games, and the Cubs are going to have to do something else. Now, who's the winner of this? Probably a guy by the name of Mike Alt, who's going to get those 9 games to probably start at third base. This is the kid who was Chris Bryant 4 or 5 years ago. He was a mega prospect. Everyone thought that he was going to be the next big thing in the Texas organization. Well, he had some eye problems and started whiffing at an extraordinary rate. However, the power's still there. He's starting to correct those eye problems. He's correcting his bat speed. He's correcting his batting stance. His swing is much more compact now, and he looks to have corrected a lot of it. Now, he's going to get 9 games to start at third base that he's probably not going to get once Chris Bryant comes up. Because Bryant, who is projected to, at some point, move to the outfield, is probably going to be getting a lot of playing time at third base. But he'll probably be the Cubs' everyday left fielder by midseason. Now, they're going to need to decide what to do with a guy like Mike Alt, even if it's just getting him these at-bats so he can reestablish his value so the Cubs can move him to a team and get something more than a fucking ham sandwich for him. Now, I think it all makes a lot of sense, and I think this is a good move for everyone involved. Sit him out the 9 games and keep control for another year. Makes sense. The whole system needs to be revamped, by the way, but for what it is, I think this is the way they have to go. Last story before I get to the quick news hits of the day, we're going to talk a little bit of MMA. I've talked about this before, about the rampant drug use in MMA. It's bad and it's getting worse. Now it's hit Bellator with 2 of their bigger names. I'm not even going to justify. I'm not even going to give them their. I don't care. 2 more people within Bellator have now popped hot, and I believe both for marijuana use, which shouldn't be a suspendable offense anyway in MMA. But until it is completely legalized in all 50 states, which I do believe we are going in that way, then you can't do it. Can't do it, and you're going to get suspended, and that's just how it is. The athletic commission is not going to tolerate it, especially if it's in competition times, which I believe is 9 days before you fight. Or it might even be shorter than that. It might be like a 36-hour period. I'm not sure. But if you're using any type of drug in that type of a time period before you're fighting, then you deserve to get caught. You deserve to get suspended, and that's just how it is. And my wife just scared the dog shit out of me because I didn't know she was in the house, and she just came from outside, and I about had a friggin' heart attack. I thought somebody was coming in to stab my face with a knife. I thought you were in the toilet dropping a log.
Stop being such a baby.
Well, I thought you were taking a dump.
You saw me go and then
I didn't see you go outside, I swear to God. I was so focused. You could have walked through here in an orgy and I wouldn't have known. I didn't see. But that one, for some reason, scared the hell out of me this time coming in. That scared the dog shit out of me. Yeah. Go poop.
I will.
Okay. My wife's going poop. Have fun. So MMA has got a serious problem, and it's not just with Bellator. The crumbling Bellator organization, by the way, who cannot afford these type of things. MMA in general, I think people are going to start getting tired of it. It's bad enough that we constantly have injuries that negate big-time fights. It happens 5, 6, 7 times a year, it seems. But this drug testing thing, top flight guys, and obviously steroids is a much greater concern, but that's happening with great frequency in the top levels as well. How long before the viewer starts to get tired of it? That's a question. Parents are not going to be willing to put their kids into martial arts classes or let them get involved in it at a young age. They're going to try to put the kibosh on it because they're seeing this as a dirty sport. So I think that's something you have to take in consideration if you're in the high levels of management of any MMA organization. You've got to figure out a way to clean up your sport so new fighters, new passionate kids are going to be able and willing to come into the sport. So this is something dangerous. I think it's scary and it's not a good thing. It is what it is. And it's going to be the death of MMA. The only thing that's going to stand in the way of the astronomical growth of MMA is MMA. Because it seems like it's still just a seedy, dirty underworld to a lot of people. I don't think it is. I think it's gone much more corporate. But when you have this many guys popping out on drug tests, whether it be for recreational drug use or performance-enhancing drugs, there is this culture that you are going to associate those things with. You're going to say, that sport is dirty. My son's going to play cricket. It's just how it is. It sucks. It's unfortunate, but that's the way we're going. So MMA might have a serious problem. I hope you guys enjoyed the first part of the Wednesday rant episode here on Dead on Dave Productions. I think we had a good show. I'm going to go ahead and talk about a few things now before we get out of here, and we'll be back a little bit later on with part 2, which is 100% wrestling, and we'll probably have a guest to join in on that one. So let's get to some quick hits. Nintendo announces new system, the NX. But way bigger news is the partnership and now willingness to put their content on smartphones. They strike a major deal with the mobile gaming company DENA, and they reveal plans to create services that will unite all devices. Their stock is shot up more than 30% on the Tokyo Stock Exchange. Nintendo is really looking to change the landscape of gaming, and I think they may have achieved it. So it's pretty cool. I think it's a pretty awesome thing, and I can't wait to see more. Oh, crap. I had a whole bunch of stories. Oh, quick thoughts. There we go. I found them. Oh, my God. So I think it's pretty cool. What do you think of Nintendo finally, now that we know we might get Pokemon games on our smartphones. We might get new Mario content on our mobile devices. Zelda. I mean, they own so many franchises. This opens the door to mobile gaming in a way that we have not had in a very, very long time. This is huge news for gaming. And Nintendo, after having 4 consecutive years of posting losses, even with increased revenue in certain aspects of their gaming division, they're still posting losses. This is the type of decision that will change that. So, good on Nintendo. It took you long enough to figure it out, but oh well. So let's get into quick thoughts. Final Fantasy 15. It looks like they are revamping the game and going back to the things that we as gamers want to see. I'm excited about that. SmackDown spoiler, Gauntlet match. Gauntlet match on SmackDown involving all of the Intercontinental title ladder match competitors at WrestleMania. That's going to be awesome. Glee finally wraps up this week. 3 seasons too late? I think so. The Walking Dead last Sunday, if you haven't seen it, had the most gruesome death in television history. And it was awesome. Tony Clark, the executive director of baseball's Players Union, wants Pete Rose reinstated. Isn't it about time? This man belongs in the Hall of Fame, don't you think? And finally, Vlade Divac said on Monday, Shaquille O'Neal wasn't talented. He was just strong. I was talented, but I wasn't strong. He made these remarks talking about Shaq and the inheritability that some guys have, and Shaq's knock has always been he was just big and strong, and that was it. So is Vlade Divac right? Or should he just shut up? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below everything you think about this video. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for getting me to 500 subs. And congratulations to Dustin M. for winning the 500 subscription box. 500 subscriber subscription box. Whatever. I don't even know what I said. Giveaway. And we'll be sending that out to you today, my friend. Thank you for watching. Keep subscribing, keep sharing. And we will see you a little bit later with part 2 of the Wednesday rant right here on Dead on Dave Productions. Thank you guys very much. We'll talk to you later. Peace.